So imagine that you are a farmer and you want to go to the field. And what you want to simply do is to clear your farmland, right? And develop ridges in preparation for your planting season, right? What are the tools that you are going to need for this job? Okay, so imagine that you have a garage, and this garage has all the tools that you need, and you're only expected to select only 3 tools. So I lead you to the garage, pick your tools, and guess what? You picked a key, you picked a pen, as well as some headphones. All right. What are you going to use these tools for? Don't forget the job at hand is for us to go and clear the grasses, cut off the grasses, put some ridges, and start to plant. Okay. So why I'm giving this analogy is because anytime in which you are designing a questionnaire or any other tool that is used to collect data, you have to design the appropriate tool that is necessary for the job. Okay. So, and if you're going to design a tool that is appropriate for the job, then this tool must have all the advanced features that gives you quality data, right? Because there's no use for you to collect data and what you've collected is not qualitative, right? With solid efficiency and the rest. Okay, so in this video I'm going to explain to you using ODK-BUILD how you can develop advanced forms that can help you to collect advanced data, solid data that has very good quality. Okay, most people don't use ODK-BUILD to do this because they don't know that ODK-BUILD has advanced features. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to do this. Now, if you are not watched our previous video, that means if you are coming here for the first time, I'm going to leave a link for you to the video up, the previous videos that we've done. All right, please click on that link because you need to understand some of the concepts, understand how to install ODK-BUILD, understand where to get ODK-BUILD from, and so that you can follow us in this video. Okay, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to use the skipping function, how to use metadata, how to use ID, how to use so many features that ODK-BUILD has. My name is Abdul Hakim Olorokoba, and I'm a public health physician, and I've had years of experience using these tools, and this is my turn to share this information with you. So sit back, enjoy the ride. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please make sure you subscribe. We'll be giving you very, very important content that you can use to develop yourself, content that you can also use to make money. So let's get into the video.
All right, now moving over to the computer quickly. We're going to be using this sample questionnaire, and this questionnaire is it's quite advanced, and I've built this questionnaire in such a way that it covers most of the things that we'll be discussing, and all the things I'll be showing you how to do with the ODK-BUILD. All right, just for you to know that at the end of this video, I will show you a special move. It's something I call the special move at the end. This will help you in detecting fraud from data collectors, because you know a lot of times you may not be the one that will collect the data on the field. You may have to give data collectors to go to the field to collect data for you, right? So I'll show you a very nifty feature that you can use with the metadata function at the end of this video. So please stay till the end to see that feature. I'm going to show you that feature. All right, so this is the household health questionnaire, and as you can see, this is the introductory aspect of the questionnaire. You can see that from our former video. If you have not watched the video, I'm going to put a link for you up here, so please watch the previous video if you are not very clear about some of the things we'll be saying here. We're not going to repeat everything we said in the previous video. Okay, then this questionnaire also has a note that says the respondent should be the head of the household. All right, and you have an identification component. So here are the things that gives you an identification of whoever is the person that is filling up this questionnaire. So you have the name of the ward, the household number, a unique ID, which consists of the household number, the serial number in the household list. So, assuming that you have a household list and you have the person's household number and serial number, okay? Then the name of the respondent, which, like we said here, is supposed to be the head of the household, and then the GPS location, right? And we have a hint here that says this should be taken outside the house for best results. You know that for you to get global positioning, um, a particular or something that is accurate, you have to stay outside the house because it uses low Earth orbiting satellites, and staying inside the house may affect the accuracy of the reading. So this information is supposed to be collected outside the house. And then you have basic demographic information that has serial number, name, relationship to the head of the household, date of birth, sex, highest level of education, occupation, marital status, ethnicity. All right. The next part of the questionnaire is asking a question whether any member of the household was ill in the last 3 months, and it's a yes or no question. If yes to the above question, proceed to ask section B, otherwise skip to section C. So you can see the first advanced feature here, right? So it has a skip, and this skip is not just only skipping one question, it's actually skipping an entire section. So you have section B that talks about mobility pattern and healthcare seeking behavior in the last 3 months. All right, and then you have other questions, whether there's a PHC in the village, yes or no, and if yes to this question, then proceed to ask question B2, otherwise skip to section C. And then you have questions asking about whether there are problems with the service provided in PHC facility, and you can see that there can be multiple problems, right? So this is a multiple response kind of question. Now we come to section C, and section C, you have some parameters that should be measured. Some have to be calculated, like the BMI, like the EAG, right? And so we're going to do what? It's a very short questionnaire, so we don't much, but really it's packed with a lot of information, a lot on which we can build the form. Like I said, the next video, I'm going to show you a very nifty feature that we can use to get this going, and then also to detect fraud from data collectors, just to make sure the data that they're collecting has very good quality. Okay. So we'll be moving over now to ODK-BUILD, and we're going to use the online version of ODK-BUILD. So as usual, you're going to go to Google, all right, and we're going to type ODK-BUILD in the search bar. Okay, and we're just going to click on the first results that comes out, if you remember. So we're trying to locate ODK-BUILD. I expect that if you had watched the last video, you already have ODK. All right, so here we are. It's loading ODK-BUILD. Good. So we're on this famous page of ODK-BUILD, if you remember. So you need to put in your email, put in your password, and then sign in, right? Okay, and like I told you in this video, probably not if you're doing something very quickly, you may not need to sign in. So this is the ODK-BUILD. We're going to be going back and forth the questionnaire. Okay, yeah, this is questionnaire. Very good. All right, so let's get started with building the tool. The thing that we need to do is to rename the form. And remember, we said household questionnaire. And then you click on done. Looking at tool, we have our tool as our questionnaire. Since it's text and it's going to be read only, we're going to click on text, and I'm going to call this just title, since it's a title field, and I'm going to put the label. Remember, the label is what's going to show on the mobile phone, so I'm going to put it there, household questionnaire, and I'm going to just quickly come and put something here in the property. It's read only. I'm not expecting the data collector or whoever is going to fill in the questionnaire to do in something that is active or to actively engage with this, just to read it, which is just the title. All right, so that's read only. All right, and that's all we need. All right, we'll go to the next thing on the questionnaire. The next thing on the questionnaire is our introduction. So we're just going to quickly copy this also, very quickly. Now, if you are watching this, I'm going to put in the link below. Please look at the link below in the description of the video. I'm going to put a sample of this questionnaire there, so you can download it and use it for your practice. And then if your questionnaire looks similar to this, then good. If you have any issues, you can reach me out in the comments. Please make sure you give us a like and put your comments in the comment box. If there are any issues, we'll be able to explain that for you, and you can reach out to me at any point in time. So we're going to the next thing. So we're going to click, it's also a text. You got that right. And here the name, you can call it whatever you like, but me, I'm just going to call it intro, because every questionnaire should actually have an intro. Alright, so I'm going to paste it there. I'm a postgraduate researcher at Ahmadu Bello University College of Medicine. I am conducting a household study and all this stuff, right? And then I'm going to say it's also read only. Alright, but if you notice the questionnaire, there's also some kind of like an instruction, like a hint here. I'm just going to quickly copy that, right? Because we don't have to waste time on typing all of this, and for some not a fast typer or a typist or whatever you call that. So we're just going to put it there in the hint. So it's going to show, you can see it showing under here, and you see how it looks when we go to the mobile phone. All right. So and that's good. That's that. All right. We're going to be moving to the next thing. The next thing is the identification. All right. So we're going to also call that identification. Just click on text, but just watch the way it's going to go. I may eventually change it because I want to put this in a group, and that's the next feature that we're going to talk about, right? Grouping. All right. So for now, let's just call it identification. All right. So here we can actually even say it's ID, and then here we say identification, right? Very good. This is also read only. You got that right. Okay. Looking at the next thing, we have name of word, household number, unique ID. Okay, so name of word, the person is going to be actually typing in the name of the word, and there can be so many different names. All right, so this is going to be a text also. So let's see how we do that. We're going to say this is text. The data name is going to now be, I can just call it word. I can just call it word, or you can call it anything you like. But just remember that you shouldn't put a space or a special character. The only special character that is acceptable in this field here is the underscore or the dash, but no space, no asterisk, no any other thing, right? So I can just put it word name, but I'm going to put this the way I want the data collector to see it. So I'm going to say name of word, name of word, just like the way it is there. And this time it's not read only because the data collector is going to interact with it, okay? But it's required. So what is required means is that the whoever is collecting that data or whoever is inputting the data cannot leave this question blank. He has to put in something there. So this section that is saying required text is actually saying that in case this person is funny, he wants to leave this place blank, right, without putting anything, and he wants to move to the next question. What information do you want to tell the person? What kind of caution do you want to give the person, or what kind of warning? So I can say this is required full. Oh, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Don't call anybody a fool. So this is required, please. All right, good. So you can actually set the length of the information that he's going to enter. So imagine that he's going to write Zango word, for example. Zango is Z-A-N-G-O. All right, that's 5 letters. Okay, and maybe for all we know all the words in the area, but they are much. We don't want to put them in a select one kind of question. There's so many words. Okay, but we know that the smallest word is just 5 letters, Zango. So we put a minimum of 5 letters, so that he doesn't put anything less than 5 letters. This is also an advanced way of making sure that the data that you're collecting has very good quality. Okay, and maybe the other one is Basawa word. Maybe that's the longest. Basawa is Basawa. That's 6. Okay, all right. I'm not sure if Basawa has double S, but let's just say a maximum of 7, so that he cannot put in anything less than 5 and more than 7. Okay, and if he puts in anything less than that, what kind of information do we want to give him? We can say, please put in the correct word name, and that's that. Okay, so it's telling us it has more advanced features. So it's saying this more advanced features show question if. So if we have a question before this particular question, and this particular question name of word is dependent on the previous question, then you have to put the that here. But you're going to see this when we go to the next couple of questions. All right, so if you have some kind of so another thing I want to show you is, look under here, the information. It says relevance. Okay, that's what it's called. All right, specify a custom expression to evaluate to determine if this field is shown. So if you put an expression here, only except this when this expression is met, that you can actually have this question shown on the mobile phone. Otherwise, if this expression is not met, then this question is not going to be shown. I'm going to explain to you this when we go a little further, when we have something similar in our questionnaire. Okay, same thing here for constraint. It says specify a custom expression to validate user input, and I'm going to show you some of this. Okay, if this constant check fails, the invalid text is displayed. All right, so that's that for this. So let's leave it this way. We're going to the next one very quickly. So we have household number. Now the way the household number comes is alphanumeric. So you are seeing somebody writing A110 or A25, right? So that's also in a text format. So we're just going to copy this, say household number, and then we're going to come here and put a new text. It's also text, it's not numeric. If it were numeric, it has only numbers, right? So the data name, I'm just going to call it HHNO, all right, and the label, I say household number. All right, remember in the label you can leave a space, so there's no problem with that. And then this is going to be required. If we have a required text, we put it there. Now one thing that you should know is that if you don't put a text here, there's a default text that says this is required. So even if you don't put it here, the text is going to get displayed to the data collector. So we're not going to put this one here so that you see. All right, and if we have a maximum length we put. So when the particular village we're going, there are not more than 100 households, and we have letters that we use, so A, B, C, and D. All right, so if we're going to put a length, the minimum should be 2, because you have something like A1, right? So the minimum should be 2 letters, or 1 letter 1 number, which is 2 digits, right? And then the maximum, you can have something like A104, right? That's the maximum. You can see this is 4 digits, so maximum is 4 digits, because we don't want somebody to go and write A10004 or something, right? And that would be a problem. So we want these prompts to make sure the person knows what he's doing. Now if he does something out of this, what text should the phone give him? What kind of warning? Okay, so we say please check again. Please recheck your input. Alright, so this is going to give him a warning. Alright, we're not going to go to the advanced till we have something that is advanced that will show. So let's continue. We have a big form to build, All right, unique ID. This unique ID is very similar to the household number. It has household number, it has serial number, and it has it has these two things that are on the list. Okay, so we're just going to call it unique ID and put all this stuff there. So I'm going to go there very quickly. It's also text because it has both numbers and letters. So when you see text, it's saying something that's alphanumeric. It has both numbers and letters. All right, then we'll go here. I say unique. See, I left a space, and that's why it's showing red. So don't leave a space. ID. All right, and then the label is just what I copied there, and it's not read only, but it's required. And you can now put in whatever validation that you want. Okay, good. So we go to the next one, and the next one is called is name of respondent. So this is going to be a name, even though it's not specifying which, whether it's surname or first name, but it's a name. So, and it's going to be also text. So a lot of what we're doing now is just text. So we say name. I need to put it a little clearer. Let's say respondent. Can we put apostrophe? Okay, so you can see we can put apostrophe. Respondents, so just put S underscore name. Okay, so and what we want to show on the mobile phone is what we're going to put here as the label. Okay, very good. So quickly, we say is name of respondent, and then it's required, and we probably don't need to put any of those things here. So I just want us to quickly go away from all of this. Very good. So the next one that we're going to do now is the GPS location. Yeah, so something a little different. So GPS location. Now this is good. So by the time we come here, in the past, if you're going to the field and you had to collect location, you have to go with like a Garmin a device that helps you to check the GPS, and you record it down on the questionnaire. But now with mobile phones taking over the whole space, your mobile phone can use the GPS device that it has to help you to get precise location of where your respondent is. So in order for us to do that, we're going to check here, and you can see location, right? So we're going to click on that. Now there are different types of locations. You might want point location, you might want path location, and you might want shape, but we're going to use only one. We're going to use point. You can try out the path and the shape. Okay, so we're going to use the default, which is point. So because we want pinpoint location of our particular respondent. So our data name is going to be, we're just going to say is GPS. The label is GPS location. Hint. Now let's see, is there a hint? Good. It says this should be taken outside the house for best results. Now because GPS uses low Earth orbiting satellites, and it doesn't require you having internet or anything, but one of the very good requirements is that you need to be outside to be able to take a good reading. Alright, so we need to give our data collector this information as a hint. So it says this needs to be, you have to take this outside the house. So in case you are going to somebody's house and maybe the person is going to allow you to enter, you need to take this information outside before you go in. Otherwise, you will not be able to proceed with the remaining questions. If you want to put a default value, you put, but since you don't know the particular GPS value, so you don't really need to put any default value, and this is required. Okay, we'll leave the default required text, and then like I said before, is point. The point gives you pinpoint location, so it gives you the latitude, the altitude, and the longitude, right? And it gives you accuracy. The path will require you to make multiple measurements, and then it shows the path in which you followed to take those measurements, right? And then shape requires you to make multiple measurements that you go from one point and come back to the starting point, so it gives you a shape of the area that you covered. Okay, so but like I said, we're going to use only point. You can try out the remaining. It's really very interesting, and it's something you can easily do. Okay, so this question is not relying on any other question, so we're going to leave all of this for now. All right, and we're not trying to compute anything. We have questions that we'll use for computation later on. All right, so that's this for our GPS location. And I think that brings us to the end of the first section. Okay, so you see the first section has identification, and then it has all these things in the identification section. Okay, good. So let's now do something interesting. Now, these are our questions. This is the title, this is the introduction, this is identification, this is the name of word, this is the household number, this is the unique ID, this is the name of respondent, this is GPS location. All these things we put together and call it identifiers, right? So these are the identifiers, or this is the identification for the particular respondent or the particular household where we're going to collect our data. Now, one good thing we can easily do to make this also well organized and to give us some particular ability to do some more complex stuff is to actually group all of this, put them into one group. Okay, so and in order to do that, we're going to use this group function. Okay, so we could have clicked on this group function before we started this group, since we knew we were going to do a group. But right now we can actually move these stuffs inside the group, so you can see GPS location inside the group. Very, very beautiful feature. I love this part of ODK build. Very, 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 very sweet feature. So you move all these things and they're actually inside the group, right? Household number, name of respondent. I don't even know the sequence, but this is showing you how advanced this stuff is. You can move things around very easily. All right, name of word. So I think the name of word comes first. Let's check it out. A name of word, household number, unique ID, then name of respondent. So name of word, household number. You can see the way I'm dragging. I'm just dragging and dropping. Unique ID, then name of respondent. You can easily do that. Just drag and drop. So we have all these things inside our group. Okay, so I don't think we'll be needing this stuff that says identification again. All right, so one easy thing you can do is just to delete it. Can you see that here? Delete. All right, so here now, this is the name of the group, so I can call it just identification. All right, and you can also call this identification. If I want to shorten this, I can call it ID. Just call it ID. All right, now if there are different settings for this group, we're not going to be using them now, but imagine that you're collecting this data on a questionnaire. When you're collecting this data on the questionnaire, you can actually collect the way the questionnaire, all of us saw the way ODK collect is, and the ODK collect, each question or each prompt shows on a screen, one prompt at a time. The advantage of having things in a group is you can actually ask it to display all the group questions, or all the group prompts on one single screen, so you see everything at once. So if you just check this, it's going to give you that. You see how advanced it is. Now if you want to continue to collect multiple times from the same household, then you can loop it, but we're not going to do that now. You see where this function will come in very handy. All right, and then we can look at the other advanced feature. The advanced feature here is for us to specify a custom kind of stuff if this is required, for if another question before it is required. Don't worry very much about this. I'm going to talk about it when we get to questions that are required. Okay, so this is all about grouping. Right, so right now we've been able to cover text, we've covered location, and we've covered grouping, and I think our pace is really, really good. We're trying not to be too fast so that people can follow along. I know a lot of people will be following along. You'll have downloaded the questionnaire. Remember I said the questionnaire is in the description below, so you can click and download that questionnaire and also use it to do your to follow, and also use that to gain more experience. So that's that for the first part of the questionnaire. It's really, really going well. It's interesting. And now we'll be going here. Now a lot of people might get all scared when they get to this portion and it looks as if, wow, how are we going to put this? Are we going to just copy this whole stuff and paste it inside the questionnaire? No, no, no. We're going to now do this a little, we'll be smart about doing this, right? Okay, so the next thing we want to do now is to put in this information. Now, because these things are all together, I think it might be wise to put these things in a group. Okay, so you can either do the group the way I did it by putting all these things first and then developing and then putting stuffs in the group, or first forming the group and then start putting things into that group. Okay, so we're going to try the second method. Let's go back to our ODK build. All right, so we're going to come and click and say group. And what are we going to call this group? This group is basic demographic information. All right, so we're going to give it a name. We're going to say basic basic demo. All right, and then the label we say is basic demographic information. So we can put this whole stuff there and say it's basic demographic information. This is awesome, very good. All right, I'm not going to come here well because I want you to tell me exactly what we should do here, but for now leave these advanced features. Let's just go and continue to add and see what how this is going to come. I want you to also look at this information here. It says groups many questions together into a logical block. So we're already going into logics now in a particular block. Very good. Let's go back and see. So the first thing is serial number. Serial number actually comes as 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And so it's going to be text. Nah, all right, I got you there. It's not text, it's numeric. So we're going to click on numeric. Now, see what happens when we clicked on numeric. But we want this to be actually inside here, so you can just drag and drop. Okay, let's see if we can just drag and drop. Any one you do, drag and drop inside, right? So you can also actually highlight a couple of ones, and then you can hold control, right, to drop the whole stuff. Let me do this again. So outside here, you can, let's do this. So we say it's numeric, all right, and we say this is serial number, SNO. What's the label? Serial number. You can call it serial number. Very good. So I can drag and drop, but another thing I can do is I can actually do this, right? So I have dragged and dropped. Okay, so this is the first one, serial number. Let's go. The next one is name. All right, so let's add. This is going to be text. Everybody knows that. Now, but let's quickly work on this serial number. Okay, so it's going to be required. We don't put a required text. We leave the default. What's the valid range? So our serial number, do we have a valid range? This is the serial number of the individuals in the household. So I think we can leave this without putting any particular range because we don't know whether it's going to have a range or not. But now you can adjust the way it's going to show on the phone. Do you want it to come in form of a text box? Do you want it to come, and I'll show you examples. Do you want it to come in form of a slider where you have it's sliding? Do you want a vertical slider, or you want a picker where you can just pick from? So you can try these different examples. This just shows the way it's going to display on the mobile phone, all right? But the default one is a text box where you type in the number, right? So if the serial number is 10, you type in 10. If you want it in form of a slider, you see a slider, maybe numbers from 0 to say 100, and then you slide it to the particular number, right? Then this one is horizontal. Then you can see a vertical slider, and then you can see a picker where you have different numbers. You just select a number, right? But I think it's easier to just use the text box. Okay, what type of number are we talking about? Do you have a number that are your serial numbers coming in decimal points, which obviously we know that's not the case, right? Is 1, 2, 3, 4, and so that's integer, whole numbers. So we leave it as integer, and we don't have any question that should come before that. So that this is dependent on. So we leave all of this again. So that's that for serial number. All right. We'll be going to the next one very quickly, and that's relationship to the head of the household. Now, what question type is this? Now, let me just quickly explain what is happening here. With this questionnaire, we want to take the demographic information of everybody in the household. Okay, everybody in the household. So we're going to start. Remember that the person that is giving us this information is the head of the household, right? So we're going to start with his serial number. His serial number 1. His name is this, right? What's his relationship to the head of the household? He is the head of the household, so we'll just put in 1 here, or put head of the household. Okay. What's his date of birth? He gives us the date of birth, and they want it to come in months, days, years. All right. Here, is he male or female? He's male. We'll put 2 here, or we'll put M. All right, because it's already pre-coded. Now, highest level of education. Maybe he just only went primary school, so we'll put primary school here. That's 4. Okay. What is his occupation? Maybe he's a farmer. I really love farmers, so maybe he's a farmer. So we put 2 here, or we'll put farming. All right. Marital status, he's married, so we put 2 here. And then ethnicity, he's Hausa, so we put 1 here. Okay, or we put Hausa. So note that this information here on this single line belongs to the head of the household. The next might now be that of his wife. Okay, so we're going to be collecting this information continuously till we finish everybody in the household. Now, this is where you have an advantage over the paper questionnaire, because in paper questionnaire, look at this paper questionnaire. It has only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this must be a joke, because how do you expect 6 people in a household in northern Nigeria? You must be joking, right? Or wherever place you even go. So but with the mobile phone, you can set it in such a way that you can continue to iterate this process until you've gotten their actual number. But if you have to put a space in the paper, you don't know how many spaces will you put. Do you put 20? Do you put 5? You might put 20, and 20 is not enough. Okay, so that's the advantage of this tool. So that's what we're trying to build. So we already have the serial number, and remember we're putting this in a group. So we have that. We're going to go to the next one. The next one here is just name, so that's going to be text. All right, so we're going to add the text. It's coming out outside, no problem. I just drag and put it in. All right, so and this is going to, we're going to call this name. Now let's see what happens. You know that initially, so we have a name before. Let's see, but this is name of respondent, right? This is name of respondent. So this name here is not name of respondent, but this name is actually name of household member. Name, so HHM. So we call this name. We'll just put it name like this, but we know it's name of household member. Okay, and then this is required. We leave by default. All right, and then we go to the next. It's really interesting, and this is how we go, and we continue till we finish the stuff. All right, so we're just going to continue doing this, right? We'll go to the next stuff, which is relationship to the head of the household. So we'll say is choose one, because you can only be one. All right, one of them, and we're going to come here and say relation head of household. All right, label relationship to the head household head. Remember, this is required, and because it has several options. Okay, so listen closely here. Here we'll put household head as it came up there, but if we look at it, remember it's coded, it's pre-coded. We have 1 for household head, 2 for wife, so that's where this place comes in on the line value. So we're going to put wife 1, sorry, All right, then we add another option, and then we say wife, and remember this is 2. We add another option. Let's see what's there. Daughter, son, mother, father. So, all right, so this is, and that will be 3. Son, that will be 4. I'm sure you get the idea. Mother, that will be 5. And then father, that will be 6. Do we have anything else? Order specify. Very good. So we have the last one, which is 7, and then it says orders, and then it's asking us to also specify. Now we'll call this 7, and that gives us all. Right? That's that. So we also want this inside the group, so we're going to drag and drop. Very good. And this is our. Now, but one thing I need you to note is that imagine somebody's filling this questionnaire now, and he doesn't, the information we're putting for the particular person doesn't fit into this narrative. It just comes into orders. Okay? Oh, how come I have 6 here? Oh, sorry, I labeled this 4. All right, this is a mistake. Okay, good. So I had 4, 4, 5, 6. So this should be 4. This is 5. This is 6. This is 7. Please do the correction there on your own tool. Okay, so this order specify. How will this come? Right. That means we expect that if the person chooses orders, he should also be given an opportunity to specify which orders which maybe grandfather, maybe father, maybe something that is not actually on this list. All right, sister of the head of the household, you know, and the rest like that. So based on that, we're going to have to, and the person will need to write it out. Remember, so it's going to be a text. So we're going to actually add another one, and this time is for the orders. So this is the trick in naming it. So you say, because you might have other questions that have orders, right? So you say orders and put an underscore and say this is for relationship to the household head, because as we go along we'll have orders, right? So this is, let's say, specify order relationship to the household head. Very good. So, and this is also required. Now, this question should only pop up if orders is selected in the previous question, right? We don't want it to just, after even the person has maybe selected father, for example, here, the person selected father here, and then it's still asking us in the next question, specify orders again, because it's going to, whatever we have in this sequence is going to come as next. So we want this question to be as a result of whatever the person selected here. If the person selected orders here, then let's see this question. Okay, so we're going to have to now put it as such here. Okay, so moving on, we're here with the relationship to the head of the household, and we've already put in all these other options, right? Now, something we can do here is, because we want a situation where if this order specify is selected, which is number 7, right? We want a follow-up question. That follow-up question would allow the respondent or allow the data collector to put in what that relationship is. The relationship might be grandfather, it might be any other thing, right? So we can just check on this very easily, right? And you can see now it leaves like a small link that says ask a question, please add a question to follow up with. So in case the person chooses 7, Right, ask the following question if 7 is selected. So here we're going to now put in the next question. Now, but we're looking at the questionnaire, if the person selects this order specify, the person will need to specify what it is. So we're going to, the person will need to also type this out. So we're going to say this is, text. So we're going to click on text. So this is text. And we have to put this specifically here as specify or say orders specify for relationship to head of household. So no confusion for the data analyst. Okay, so under the label here we say specify orders. Very good. This is very good. What this means is, in the relationship to head of household, if you select 7 meaning orders, then it's going to give you the next question, but we know we have to link it up, so we'll put it here. Look at what happens when we do this. So you can see it has a link, which is a linking question. Awesome. This is good. Things are really shaping up well. Let's move to our next stuff. Then date of birth, right? And we want it in month, day, and year. So let's see how we do that. So here we come to date, time, location. So which one do we select? All right, so I think date seems to be the best option here. And for date, we just put the name. So we can say DOB, right? And then label is exactly how we saw it there. Date of birth. We can even put it all and put the whole stuff there. All right, and we go there. And yeah, good. I even prefer, maybe I prefer this to even be in the hint. So we can do this and put it in the hint, which is awesome. Really, really awesome. And this is required. And we're not going to touch the rest. Okay, so but here if you look at this, it's saying, do you want full date, do you want year and month, do you want year, do you want full date and time? So what we need here, remember that we clicked date and time, but what we can do now is just to say full date, so it gives us the full date. All right, and we're also going to move this inside here. Okay, now the disadvantage of doing this is, when this is done and this question is asked, then this one also comes forth, right? So you can see this is actually linked with this question, not the other one. But let's see how it turns out. Very good. So let's go to the next one, is a sex, male, female. So that will also be select, choose one. And so what do we do here when we say choose one? We're going to come here and say data analyst, that's what you should see. We can also do it this way, and then say is required, and also come to options and say male and give it 1. Next option, say female and give it 2. And that's that. It's as simple as that. Just super simple. Okay, so we go to the next one, which is highest level of education, and you can see all of them here. Highest level of education. Let's do this. Highest level of education, and that's going to also be choose one. So this is not here, sorry, this is supposed to be here. So we can say edu level. All right, and then it's required. We need to put all those options. So here we have non-chronic, informal, primary, secondary, tertiary. So we have none. Remember, we say this is 1. Then we have Quranic. We say this is 2. Primary. Good. We say this is 3. Awesome. This is going really well. And we say secondary. We call this 4. We say tertiary. We call this 5. Good. And then what's the last one? Specify orders. Okay. So orders. Specify. And we call this 6. Awesome. Okay. So remember, we're also going to put a follow-up question to this. And if somebody selects number 6, which is order, then follow up with the next question, which is going to be text. So you can see the link also. This is good. So here we say specify order edu. All right. And don't forget this is required. Okay. Awesome. So specify order edu, and we say specify orders. So just a quick rundown. If we come to highest level of education, we have these options: non-Quranic, primary, secondary, tertiary, and then others. If the others is selected, right, then it gives a chance to specify the others. Very, very simply and quite easily done. All right, we'll move to the next one, occupation. Okay, this is occupation. So it's also select 1. Choose 1, right? So we're going to come to our next and say choose 1. Okay, and we call this occupation. And it's required occupation of this actually of household member. All right, and is required. So let's put up all the options. Let's put up all the options. Non, farming, petty trading, artisan. So we have none, farming, petty trading, artisan, big time businessman, civil servants, I don't know which one is big time businessman. Well, I want to be big time businessman. What about you? Put your comments in the comment box below. Yeah. Okay, so big time businessman, and then civil servants and private sector white collar job. So civil servants, and then lastly, trying to be fast here, private sector white collar job. I don't know why that should be last, but that's what we have. Maybe it's last but not the least. So call it private sector white collar job. Alright, this is 7, this is 6, this is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. So that's that for occupation. And then we have just 2 more left here: marital status and ethnicity. Okay, so we're going to go to marital status. That's also select one. So say I can call it mar stats. Okay, but you can write it anyhow you want to write it. Let's say marital status. It's also required. And then we're going to put the options. So the first one is single, which is usually 1. Add another option. Second is married, usually 2. Add another option. Third is it widowed or divorced? Divorced, separated, widowed. So divorced. Number 3. Separated. Number 4. Widowed. Number 5. So that's that for marital status very quickly. Then lastly on this page we'll be going to ethnicity. That's also choose one. So we'll say choose one, and then we say ethnicity here. Ethnicity. Also ethnicity. Okay, so on the ethnicity that we have here: Hausa, Fulani, Yoruba, Igbo, and others. Very good. So these are major ethnic groups in Nigeria, and we say it's required. So here we say Hausa. It's 1. Fulani, we'll call that 2. Yoruba, we call that 3. Igbo, you call that 4. And then others, specify, we'll call this 5. Now we're going to be putting up a follow-up question, if you remember, and this follow-up question is if others is selected and others is 5. So if 5 is selected, then we can bring up about this issue of others. Okay, so and then what are we linking with it is a text, because you need to write what ethnic group is are we talking about here now. Okay, so we say here, we say specify underscore ethnic group. others specify. Okay, and that's that. This for the first part of the questionnaire. Now notice that these things will have to reiterate, because if you see all of this, they're supposed to be in one group, so we're going to put them in one group. Let's attempt to do that now. And we want the entire group to we want it to reiterate, because you'll be asking this question for each person, each member of the house. So it's better we pull this up here and then make sure the entire group does a form of repeat. This is the entire group, basic demographic information, right? So we'll make sure that it does a kind of repeat. Awesome. So what this means here is, by the time we go to the household head and we ask him all these details for himself, we ask him his name, he says his name is Malam Gambo, relationship to head of household, he's the head, so there's no others. Ask him his date of birth, we know his sex is male, ask him his highest level of education, it tells us. If it's order, we select order, ask him his occupation, marital status, ethnicity. By the time we're through, we have to loop it back to the next person. So maybe say his wife. So we'll be asking, we'll put the serial number, name of household head, name of household member, relationship to the household head, and we'll reiterate like this. So that's the advantage here. It's going to continue to repeat for that group. Okay, so we want it to be looped, and we want it to we just want it to be looped. Okay, and that's awesome. So just to recap, we've talked about logics, we've talked about grouping, this is the second grouping that we've done. And we've also talked about how you can link questions such that this question is required for this question. If a particular option is selected here, then we'll see this next question. Otherwise, if it's not selected, we don't see this question. All right, so now we'll be continuing from this area here. We're finished with the first section. We're going to the next section, right? So let's check the questionnaire again. Very good. So we still have a question in the first section, which is section A. So I have question A1, which says, was any member of the household ill in the last 3 months? And this is a yes or no question. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to copy it. It's yes or no, so we're just going to say choose one. All right, so we can say illness in 3 months. That's the last 3 months, and then see this is required, and that's all we need here. Don't need anything more. We'll go to the next one pretty quickly. So it says, if yes to the above question, right, proceed to ask section B otherwise. So we're going to leave this for a while. Let's just tag this down. Let's leave this for a moment. Let's leave this for a moment. We're going to get back here. So for a moment, let's leave that. Let's just highlight it. Now we get to this section B. All right. So serial number, name, sex, cause of illness. So this is a table that just talks about the mobility pattern and then the health seeking behavior in the last 3 months. Okay, so we're going to just copy this as the title, and then remember it's going to be a group now, so I'm just going to put a group because I want to group all those questions into one, right? Because I'll need to probably iterate them. Why? So for this group, I'm going to give the label as this. Did I copy that correctly? Mobility patterns. No, I just highlighted this. I don't need this highlighter now. So all right, so that's my label, OVT pattern, and then this is the, so we can just, I can call this section B actually. Okay, so this is the group for section B. We're going to continue. The first thing there here is serial number, then name. All right, so serial number is also numeric. We call it SNO. But remember that we have SNO before. That's why we're having this red. Okay, it says this property must be unique. Please read this very well. And then it says there is another control that conflicts with it. So we have another serial number up there. If you check, we have it here, and good, they've even highlighted it for us. So we have to be very specific. So we can say serial number B. This is for section B, right? And then we now go to the label, and then here we can now write serial number. Right, this one can be the same with any other one, but because we'll be following the sequence and we can see that this serial number is referring to this, but this date data name has to be unique, like I've said before. Okay, and then is required. All right, let's go to the next very quickly. Then the next is sex, male, female. So I can do something actually very interesting here. If I need this, I can actually move it around. I can click and move it around to create a clone of it, right? I can create a clone of this and move it around to the other place, right? But let's just continue. So we just say choose one. Okay, so this is sex, but we already have it before. So what we are going to do is to say for section B, right? And then give a label, a very good label. This is sex. You can say sex of respondent if you want, or of ill person, but I think sex is okay because here we'll be collecting the data and we can see this series, so we know what we're talking about here. So this is also required. Yeah, so our first option here is male, and we're going to label it as 1, and then we add another option, female, and then we label it as 2, and that's all for the options. We don't have a follow-up question, so we continue. Very good. So cause of illness symptoms. This is just a straightforward text question. Straightforward text. So just copy, go there, add it up, give it a label. I will say cause. Cause. What's wrong with me? Cause of illness. Okay, and it's also required. We go to the next one. The next one is place of treatment, and you can see. And the thing about this is that you can have somebody that had no treatment, right? But you can also have somebody that had home treatment as well as treatment with traditional healer and patent medicine vendor and all of this. So this is not select one. This is a select multiple question, right? Because you can have somebody that has this. So don't think this is choose one, but this is select multiple, okay? Which is this. All right. So we're going to go there, and then we have place of treatment. So I can call this place underscore of I can do this treatment. I can say place of treatment here in full. This is what's going to be shown in the mobile phone. Alright, but remember I select multiple and is required. So what are those multiple options? Here we can say no treatment. I think that was the first one. No treatment, home treatment, and traditional healer. So no treatment. I can call this one, but I think it wasn't even labeled here, so we can leave it as it is. It depends on you on what you plan to do with that. Okay. No treatment, home treatment, traditional healer. Home treatment. Traditional healer. PMV, PHC facility, which is primary healthcare facility. PMV. PHC. General hospital and then private clinic. So all of this is actually easy and you already know this, so I might just fast forward it up to where we are. But here you can see is outcome of illness, and so you have either the person had resolved or no resolved or complications. Okay, so just three options also. So we're going to do that very quickly. That's also going to be choose one. Is it outcome of illness or outcome of treatment? Outcome of illness. So I'll say it outcome of illness. Okay. This outcome of illness, and then is required also. We want all our questions required so that we don't have blanks, we don't have areas missing data. Okay, and then the first option is resolved, yes. So you can say resolved, yes. Do we have values? No, so we don't bother. Depending on you though. Resolved, no. So I think if I were the data collectors here, I would probably prefer to divide this question into two because you can actually have somebody that had ailment or the illness resolved, but he had a complication of the ailment, which is something different entirely, right? So it is not mutually exclusive. You can have, but so this is the trick here is we can do this like this, but once you are adjusting the questionnaire, you need to make all the parties know. Okay, so I can do outcome of illness as resolved and not resolved, and then I can do also a new one, which is also a choose one, and then I say complication. All right, complication from the illness is required, and then yes or no. So you see this solves any kind of argument or any kind of confusion. right? Because if we look at the stuff, you can have somebody that had illness resolved, but they had a complication, right? And you put in the comments if you can if you can think of anything like that, okay? And you can have somebody that the treatment hasn't resolved and he still has a complication, right? So this is that they're actually different. This is resolved, no resolved. So these are actually two different questions on that outcome. There's one for whether it has resolved or not, and one for complication, yes or no, also. Awesome. All right. Section B still has one more question. So it says, is there a PHC in this village? All right. Or two more questions. If yes to this, all right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say, is there a PHC in this village? Yes or no? All right. Good. So that's B1. I'm going to copy that as a yes or no question. So we're going to say also choose one, and I'll put the label first here. I'm going to say PHC in village. Good. Right. And is a yes or no? Is required, and then is yes or no. Or an option or no. Very good. Very good. All right. Now, do we have a follow-up question to this? If yes to this question, then you can have B2. All right. So we can just put up a follow-up question. If you remember how I showed the other ones, right? So we say follow-up question. So, but for the follow-up question, let's look. You have untitled, untitled. So you have to put a value. It's good to put a value. So you can also still do this. Say yes, and you can do this. Say no. If you like, put a number. If you like, put a value. But what we're just saying here is, if it's yes that is selected in the this question, then we can have a follow-up question which is a select multiple. Let's see. All right. So you can see, if yes to the above question, proceed to ask question B2. Otherwise, skip to section C. All right. So is there a PHC in the village? If the person says yes, ask these questions. So what are some of the problems in the services provided by the PHC facility in this village? So this is good. So it's a follow-up to B1. This is B2. Awesome. 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 So we're going to put that as the label. Yeah. And then we're also going to say PHC underscore problems. It's not going to take a question mark. All right. Awesome. So, and it's select multiple. So we start putting up all those multiple options. Let's go add it one by one very quickly. I'm going to have to fast forward the video here such that we save time. Okay. And this is one. Add option, add option, add option, add option, add option, add option. Up to 8, right? Add options. Okay, good. So we come to the next one. The next one here is saying they do not have friendly workers. This is 2. The staff are not friendly. That's 3. Okay, this is easy. Staffs are not friendly. We say 3. They do not have enough equipment. That's 4. There are not enough drugs. And that's 5. They cannot manage complications. That's 6. No transport for referring seriously sick patients. That should be 7. Sorry, that's a mistake. And then the last one is specify, order specify. Orders, and that's 8. It has a follow-up question. If somebody selects 8, then we put a text. Okay. So you see, this is linking, right? From a follow-up to another follow-up. All right. And then we say required. And this is just specify order problem. Awesome. This is good. So you need to follow a very good nomenclature and naming convention so that you don't have any issues. Okay. So specify order problems. So here you give the person chance to write whatever he wants to write as a problem. Okay. I think that's that for this, which is powerful. Very good. We'll finish section B. And then what is left is just the section C, which is all right. So now moving on to section C. What is left in section C is not much again. So we'll check it out. This is our questionnaire. Very good. And so what we have is examination and lab test results. So as usual, we're going to create a group because we want to put everything in section C in that group. And then we're going to give the group a name. So I can just call it section, I like to write in caps. I can call it section C and then give it a label, right? So what label are we going to give this? Let's give it exactly what we have in our questionnaire. It says examination and lab test results. So what's happening here is that these individuals who are going to be examined, we'll need to examine these individuals, do a physical examination for them, check their weight, heights, compute their BMI, all right, and then also check their blood pressure, and then collect some blood and compute the HbA1c. But we're going to use a formula to calculate this. Okay, so let's go ahead. All right, so what are we calling this? Examination and lab test results. Good. And we probably don't want everything to be displayed on one screen, but if we do, we can check it out. So we'll check it off. All right. Then now to the individual questions. The first one is weight. So we are going to have weight in numeric. Okay. So, and I'm going to now, please pay very close attention. I don't want to write a long stuff because we're probably going to go into a little coding. So I'm going to just call it WGT. All right. And then we say weight as how it's written there, right? And it's in kg. So we say kilograms. Maybe we even want to do this. All right, kilograms, and it's required as usual. But Now where you need to put close attention is here. Our weight is going to not be in integers but in decimals, because we would have 60.5, 60.7, so it's best to put this in decimals. And because we're going to be using this for a calculation also, it's best to put it in the precise unit and way in which is measured. All right, so quickly go to the next one. The next one is height, and it's also numeric. Okay, so I'm also going to use a short form HGT to call this, but this is height. All right, and then it's also required, and then I'm going to go to, you can put in your range whatever you like, right? And then I'm going to say it's also decimal, so that's quite easy. Now with having the data for height, weight and height, we want to compute the BMI, right? And we want the BMI to be computed automatically. We don't want to go with calculators and start punching in BMI, saying weight over height squared and all those kind of stuffs like that, right? So what we want to do is to compute the BMI automatically. This brings us into the calculate function of ODK-BUILD. It's an advanced function that has to do with some small level of programming. All right, but don't run away, because some of you are about to shut down your computers now because you had programming. No, it's very small stuff. And like I said in my last video, if you're watching this video now, you will need to learn how to program very soon. There's a reason why I'm saying this. Whoever you are, whether you are a student, you are a undergraduate, postgraduate, you are already working or whatever, it's really important. All right, so I'm going to release a video hopefully soon on how to start coding and programming, because that's the future. All right, so with that being said, let's just continue. So we're going to make also BMI. All right, so this is for BMI. I'm going to call it BMI. Good. Then I'm going to give it a label. I can call it whatever I like. I can call it, maybe let me put the full meaning of BMI. So body mass index. All right. Then, but this time, because we want it to compute, we're not going to touch it. We're not going to interact with it. So we're going to put it as read only. All right. We're going to put it as read only. If we want to put a maximum and minimum range, whatever, but it's not even necessary. All right. So, and then we also want to put it decimal. Then we move a little advanced. Okay. So aside from the fact that we have made this, given it a name, giving it a good label, even maybe in the hint we say it's kilogram per meters squared. I don't know how to write squared here, but let me just put it that way, right? And we've made it decimal, but we've still not allowed it to have the calculate function, right? So we'll be talking about the calculate function, and you can see it here. Right, it's a very nifty function, and this is where I said you have to do a little of programming. All right, so the way to do this is to so what we want to do is that this variable here, weight, we want to divide it by this variable times itself, right? So it's weight divided by height times height. So, and how do you write this weight variable? All right, since the variable name is what we have here, WGT, that's what we're going to be using. Okay, so we come to our advanced feature, we come and we say, we click on this, we come to our advanced feature, we say calculate, right? And then you use slash, and we're going to call in the data itself that we're using. That's this particular data that is going to come in. So it's called data, you say data, then you put also this forward slash and put the name of that variable there. So the name of our variable here is WGT. So we're going to put it exactly the way it's written. And that's why I said I wanted to write it in a short form, WGT. So this is going to refer back to this variable, whatever we have here. All right. Then we'll give a small space and use division. So for this operators, the division is an operator. So we'll use what is called div. This is how you ask it to divide. All right. And then we will now open a bracket because we want to say height times height, right? So, and because we want to say height times height, all right, because we want to say height times height, right? What we're going to do here is to also use that height variable. So let's refer to the height variable and we say data slash now is HGT. Very good. Give a space and use the multiplication sign. This is the sign for multiplication. Give another space. All right. And then we're going to say slash, call the height variable again from its data point to slash, and then we say HGT, and then we close this bracket. What we're just saying here is the data in the weight variable divided by the data in the height variable times the data in the height variable. I had to use these brackets because if you remember BOD mass, right? Division comes before multiplication. So we can have a situation where if we didn't put this bracket, we would have had weight divided by height, then multiply by height. So we'll only get the weight back again, right? So if you do it this way, you're good to go. You have your body mass index calculated automatically for you. As soon as you enter the weight and you enter the height, you have your body mass index calculated for you. All right, we're going to try this with the next one. So, and just get a lot of stuff that you want to calculate, and then you can use this simple algorithm to write your calculations. Okay. All right. All right, so we're going to also quickly go ahead to do the last two, I think three. We have the BP, we have the HbA1c, and we have the estimated average glucose. All right, so let's quickly do the BP. What I want to quickly just tell you about the BP is we know that BP is measured as both systolic and diastolic pressure, right? But it's not actually like a variable that has like an indicator or an index that has two or more variables, right? So it's just BP. For nomenclature or for the way it's put, they put the systolic over the diastolic, right? So but there are two separate variables. And anytime you are doing anything that has to do with BP, please don't go and make the mistake of writing it as 120 over 80 or stuff like that. Do the systolic BP separately and the diastolic BP separately, right? So whatever you get as the systolic, you enter it. Whatever you get as diastolic, you enter it. So now practicalizing what I've just said, what we'll do is to use numeric, all right? And then, so we call this sys BP, so because of the space, underscore BP, all right? And then you can say systolic blood pressure, and is measured in millimeters of mercury. Good. So we can just put that under the hint, and then we say is required. I think that's all we need. All right, we leave it as integer because we know it's we're not measuring in decimal. But if for some reason you have an advanced tool that measures blood pressure in decimal places, then all well and good, you can change it to decimal. All right, the next one is also going to be numeric, and it's dia BP. So I'm going to say dia underscore BP. All right, and we call it diastolic BP. Okay, and it's also measured in millimeter of mercury, and it's required. That's all we need. Okay, we'll quickly go to the next item, which is the glycated hemoglobin. So hemoglobin AIC, that's numeric, but this time I hope we all know that this is decimal, right? So we're going to call it HbA1c. Now, because we are going to do some form of calculation, which I'm going to show you in a moment, I like to just write this stuff very short, right? So you can even write it shorter, just such that your code is going to be a little also shorter and easily readable. So let's call this glycated hemoglobin, and the unit is in millimoles per mole. It depends on which stuff you are using. You can also be in percentage. Sorry, what am I saying? So glycated hemoglobin, yeah, so it's IFCC unit. Okay, so it can also be in percentage actually. All right, and then we have it's required, and we're not putting any particular range. If you know the range, you can put it so that nobody goes out of that, but since it's a clinical parameter, then I think just leave it that way. All right, but it has to be decimal. Awesome. Then finally, the last one is, which is something we have to compute, is also going to be numeric. It's estimated average glucose. Okay, so we'll leave it that way, and we're going to give it a label. So maybe just call it estimated average glucose. All right, and it's in milligram per dl, milligram per dl. All right, and then it's also so we're not going to make it required. We're just going to change this to decimal, right? And then we're going to work on our calculation. Okay, so we're going to change the decimal, work on our calculation. Remember, it's going to, the formula is this formula for calculating the EAG from the glycated hemoglobin is 28.7 times the glycated hemoglobin level and subtracting 46.7 from it. So we're just going to put that into stuff here. So we're going to say 28.7, then give a space, put the multiplication sign, which is a star. All right, give a space. Then we'll do the same way in which I showed you for the other one. So we'll call the data. We'll say data first for HbAIC, and then we're going to minus 46.7 from it. Okay, that gives our calculation. All right, so but if you check here, there's still something wrong. There's something I've not done correctly. So I don't know if any one of you can actually tell us what this is not complete. If we do this, it's not going to calculate anything for us. There's still something that we've not done correctly. So please pause the video, right? Pause the video and then see if you can detect what we have not done correctly. All right. Okay, so if you have paused the video and you're back, then we just needed to make it read only. Don't make it required, please just make it read only, because we don't expect anybody to interact with it. Just put in the glycated hemoglobin value and it's going to automatically estimate this. That's good. So that's that for our tool. I think the last thing that is left in the tool, if I'm not mistaken, is just thank you for your time. All right, but before we go into thank you for your time, I remember that I said I was going to touch, I was going to give you something that was going to help you to prevent fraud on the field, especially if you're not the one collecting the data. You have to pay people to go to collect the data for you. Okay, so that will bring us into the concept of what we call metadata. So now we'll be talking about metadata, and when you hear about metadata, it's nothing to just be scared of, right? It's just data about data. That's what I call it, data about data. Okay, some people say it's data on data, but it's data about data. So imagine all the information that we've been collecting here, right? Look at this questionnaire, and all this information is going to be collected from one person. Okay, but do we have information about how this stuff was collected from the person, when it was collected, the time in which it was collected? you know, and for how long did it take to collect this. So this is information, or this is data about this data that was collected. Okay, I hope this is clear. So one of the ways in which we use on the field to get some of these people that some of our data collectors that can be very dubious and go and do some very crazy work on the field for you, right? Neglecting the fact that we're dealing with human lives, tens of thousands of humans, that the decisions in which we make from the data is going to affect their lives. But some of our people don't care. All right. So you need to be sure that the data you're collecting has good quality, and this is the advantage of one of the strongest advantages, right, of electronic data capture methods over the paper. Because if somebody uses paper, you don't know where he collected the data, you don't know anything about that. He can just go to his hotel room and be filling up the paper. You pay him for staying in a hotel, pay him for collecting the data, and he's collecting rubbish for you. A lot of data collectors have shown us that they are so dubious and never to be trusted. Okay, so you're able to follow us to the end of this video. So I'm going to tell you about this metadata. All right, well, before we go to the metadata, I just want us to touch on a couple of other things that we have not touched on, so that this tutorial will be complete. So if you look under this variable bar here, right, we have not touched on media, and this is also a very, very good one. Okay, you can also use this very close to the same way we use some of this metadata stuff, because with media you can actually get an image. So imagine that we told people to snap the well of the house of this. Maybe we had to know about the well, whether the well is a standard well or the other, and wanted them to take a picture for us. So we're going to create a variable using media, and the variable name, we'll just call it well. Let me use capital letters. We'll say well photo. Okay, all right, and then this is say take a picture of the respondent's well. Okay, so we're going to make this required, and now what you need to look here is the kind. So what type of stuff is it? An image? Is it a new image? Is it a selfie? Right? Is it something that you can write on, you can annotate, you can draw? Is it something that is like a signature? Audio? Do you want to use audio? Right? So maybe record your conversation with the respondent, or video, take a short video of the compound of the respondent, or do a selfie video of yourself just to prove that you are there, something like that, right? So, but here we're just particular about maybe we can put an image, okay? And so by the time the person reaches this question, it's going to show you the chance to either pick an image that is already stored on the phone, or use the camera to snap a new image, okay? And this is required. Awesome. Okay, then the other thing is we also want the our data collectors to sometimes maybe sign something, or even sometimes the respondents, because you may have a consent form that you need the respondents to sign. Okay, so you can also use this media to allow them to do that. So we can say consent, put the entire story about the consent here, right? Put whatever you want to put about the consent here, right? And then says required, and this should come first before you start collecting any data. But this time now we want it to be signature. So after the person has read all the things about the consent, and then you give the person the mobile phone to sign. So you see a space that the person can use his hand to just write a signature, and that can be an evidence. Okay. Another thing that we'll quickly talk about is this last thing here, which is called barcode, before we go to the metadata. All right, so we're going into barcoding, and barcode is that stuff that most of this POS in supermarkets and in all the other places where we buy stuff use, and it helps us to stored. There's actually some information that is stored in that. What most people understand as the barcode is something that people use for pricing, right? So the price data is actually stored in the barcode. So imagine that we're collecting data, and we give each individuals that come to the clinic that agree to participate in our study a paper, and the paper has a barcode. And we said we're going to come and meet them in their respective um, houses with the addresses that are given us to collect data. So one way in which we can do this is that we will have coded some of their information into the barcode, and then we can also put a barcode here, this barcode variable. All right, so we'll ask our respondent to scan the barcode. So we say scan barcode. This can help us to ascertain that the data collector actually went to the house and was able to retrieve that information from the respondent. Okay, so we say scan the barcode of the respondent, and there are a lot of ways in which you can use this barcode. All right, in so many surveys, like the recent surveys that have been done, national surveys that have been done, they use barcode to code some information about samples and the rest like that. So just let your imagination go wild. You can use the barcode for anything. Just know that if you're using barcode, then you have to install also some kind of software that allows you to there's an appropriate application that you have to install together with the ODK, right? There's one that's called Zing. Okay, Zing barcode scanner. So it must be installed on your mobile phone for you to be able to use this particular feature. Okay, so that's that. The last thing that we'll quickly talk about now is the metadata. All right, so if you have gone this far, you've followed us this far, this is over 2 hours of everything about ODK build. You're already a professional with ODK build. In fact, I think I should give you a certificate at this juncture, because if you go online, if you go to any of this, if you go to Coursera, if you go to Udemy, if you go to any of those big educational sites, you will see people selling courses like this, right? It's $7, $100, right? And you just go and do the course online and get your certificate. Okay, but now you have this for free. So to whom much has been given, much is deserved. You have this power now. This power is with you. Now I see a lot of students that are asking all these things. They are just in 100 level, 200 level. How do they get to? What do they need all these stuffs for? Well, if this is a skill that you have, maybe during your break you have this skill, you can use it to make money actually. And some of the other students that don't know this, and they're in 400 level, for example, and um, they are doing their thesis or their dissertation or their project. Since it's undergraduate, it's project, right? So when they're doing their project, instead of them going to spend money, buy reams of paper and going to print and carrying paper around, they all have mobile phones which they can use. You can design a simple form for them for 5,000 naira, and it will take you just 10-15 minutes on ODK build, and you can make some money out of it. Okay, so if you are thinking of learning a skill, this is not a bad skill for you to learn. If you know how to do it, you can even advertise yourself online and make some money. So I'll be teaching you a lot of other skills that you would learn, and these skills that you learn will help you to actually make some money online. And I'm sure you know everything is going online. Education is actually even going online now. Okay, so we come to the last aspect, which is the aspect of metadata. And like I said previously, metadata can be used to collect data about this data that you are collecting. Okay, so I'll give you a quick example. The first one is device ID. So some data collectors are funny. You give them a tablet for them to go and collect data with it. I don't know what is wrong with them. They will decide to use their own phone. So because they have some small level knowledge of ODK, they download the form into their own phone and use it to collect data. And sometimes this might compromise the security of the information that they are collecting, right? Maybe your own tablet has some security features that you have put to it to prevent data of people from getting lost, or to prevent data from being exposed, and so many other things that you have to put into consideration during data collection, ethical issues, and the rest. But this crazy data collector, because I don't know, he's just crazy, he decides to download the form and use his phone. This device ID will be recorded. So if you put this on the form, the data collector is not going to see this. These are the thing about the metadata is so nice that the data collector is not going to see this. It's just going to be recorded automatically. To automatically go into the phone of the or whichever device that is used to collect this data, and then it silently and automatically collects information about that session, right? So the first one is device ID. There are a lot of them, okay? And so we can just say here, can call it dev underscore ID. So you can know which particular device was used to collect this data, at any point in time. All right. So that's the first one. You can quickly go to another one. So you just still click on metadata. It's so easy, right? And this time the next one is start time. Start time too is also very important because you can know when this data was collected. So imagine there was a lady that we gave to collect data. We paid her money. She went to the field to collect data, and as she was collecting data, she was supposed to be sending it back. Okay, data is supposed to be collected between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. and by 4 p.m. since it's inside the community in rural areas, we expect you to just go back to your hotel and then come back and continue the next day. All right, so this lady was collecting data, and when we're looking at her forms, not knowing that we can see the start time, she was showing that she was collecting data around 12 midnight, 11 o'clock, 11 p.m. Obviously, she was just in her hotel sending this data stuff, so she didn't actually collect this data. You cannot change this stuff. It's actually engraved on the particular instance, right? So that's the advantage of start time. It shows when you started collecting the data. All right. So we're going to say start time. So I can even call it begin. All right. You can call it whatever you want to call it. Okay. We'll go to the next one, end time. Now this one is also very, very nice because it tells us if we compare this with the start time, then we know what actually happened. Okay, because for example, this particular tool that we're using, that we used for this exercise or this tutorial, it's going to take you about 20 to 25 minutes to collect this data. There's no how you can collect this data from an individual that has a wife and maybe 3 kids. I remember those initial aspects where we needed to collect some information, demographic information about everybody in the family. There's no how you can use this form, collect data with this form less than 20 minutes. So we had this data collector that we sent to the field to collect data, and by the time we examined the metadata that came out for me, he was using 3 minutes, 4 minutes to collect. How do you measure somebody's blood pressure, take all those information within 4 minutes? It's crazy, So this is how you get to know some of those dubious guys. If you subtract the start time from the end time, you know how much time it took the data collector to collect this data. And then if the guy is really crazy, one of those crazy guys that go under the tree and just sit down they've beaten your security by doing the location, right? They have set the location here. They were actually there to collect the data. You have the latitude, the longitude, and all those stuffs, right, from the GPS. But you see him recording within an hour. He has collected 50. For God's sake, sat down under the tree and he's just clicking yes, yes, no, no, male, female, not male. So you can have people that are really that crazy like that. And that's why this metadata is really very important stuff. And this is one of the advantages that the electronic data tool has over paper, because if it were paper, the person can collect it anytime, he can do whatever he wants to do with it, and you cannot actually track. So you can please explore the different types of the metadata. Even phone number, you can know the number of the phone that was used, the SIM serial, the subscriber ID, IMI, and all those other stuffs like that. Okay, so that's the power of the metadata, and there's something you cannot get from using paper forms. All right, so we're almost there. We've been able to do all of this. So the next thing that you need to do is to actually check, right? Before you close up the form, you need to check. So we've been working since, One thing that we didn't do was to save. Really, that's not a good practice. So make sure you save because you're working online, right? Even if you're using the ODK offline, please make sure you save. So always save, right? So, and when you save, you should see form saved here, right? Let me show you again. So when you say save, you should see it says form saved under here, and that means you are good. You are good to go. Okay. So you should also check around for errors. Check around for errors. Any time you have a tile that shows red, then this is an error. Okay, so you can see here this is an error. You have to correct this. This is an error. You have to correct this. This is an error. You have to correct this. Now I can see something that is similar with all these three of them. I can see that they all have links. Okay, so one thing you need to learn about links is that if a question has a link, it cannot be within a group. If it's within a group, then because the group usually sometimes would show all the questions on one page, then it's not allowed. So if this is not within a group, then it could have been allowed, but because of this within a group, we are not allowed to say this specify order. So you have to choose between putting things in a group or putting them separately, or making some of these things come outside. All right. So what I will do is, now let me see what this error is. Let me see why I have this error. Let me scroll down, scroll check. Good. So you can see here, it says because this control is within a single screen group, right? That's a field list. The follow-up question feature will not work. At least it will not work in ODK Collect. So if you're using ODK Collect, this is not going to work. Some of the other Collect apps might work, but this is not going to work. So for us to correct this, we will probably have to remove this as a follow-up stuff. So we remove it as a follow-up question. You see that stuff is corrected. All right, so we'll leave the specify orders there in that group, and we'll come here too and say and find out what's the problem. I guess it's the same problem. Okay, so we'll uncheck. We don't want that follow-up. We'll do the same. It's the same. We'll uncheck. We don't want that follow-up. So put them in their groups, no problem. So for here, serial number, we put it back in this group. Sex, we put it in the group. Causes of illness symptoms, we put in the group. All the things are in one group, we put them in their grouping. Okay, put in the group. Complication, we put in the group. This is not inside the group, this is outside the group. Okay, is there a page in this village? This is linked, so we don't have. So we check. Do we have any reds? We don't have any reds. Where we have greens are these groups. So this is the first group for section A. Second group. No, this is the first group for identification. Then this is the second group, which is the basic demographic information. Then we have this is outside the group, and then this is the third group, mobility pattern, and then we have another group, okay, for examination and lab results. So we can put all these ones inside that group. Just drag and drop, just drag and drop, just drag and drop, drag and drop. Located HB, there you go. Estimated average glucose, there you go. Take a picture of the well, good. Do the consent, scan the barcode of the respondent, and then you don't need all of this. All this device ID, start time, end time, it's not going to show. All right, these ones are going to be, they are hidden. They are silently and automatically being collected. All right, then the last thing that we need to do is to add our thank you. If you notice, we had thank you for your time. So let's add that. That's just going to be a text, and we're going to say thank you, thanks, and say thank you for your time. And this is only read only because we don't intend to have any kind of interaction with this. Okay, just to remind the respondent to say thank you to, just to remind the data collector to say thank you to the respondent. Okay, so this is good. So now the final test is for us to now download this, because we're finished the entire tutorial. We have our cool questionnaire. All right, we're good to go. Now, if we are going to use ODK Collect manually, all we need to just do is to come to File and say Export to XML. And if you have any errors, it's actually going to show you some red here and tell you there are some errors, right? But thank God we're finished up. We don't have any errors. Awesome. This is the XML. And then you say download. So if you have your XML file, all you need to do is to take this file to ODK, like I showed you in the previous videos. Take it to ODK and then put it on your ODK mobile, and then you can use that to collect data, the ODK collect on mobile, or whichever collect you're using, Kobo collect, Honor, Enkito, whichever stuff you're using to collect data, you can do that. Okay, and that's it. All right, so after downloading the XML form, right, so you can see my XML form here already downloaded. I need to just find out where the XML form is, so I'm going to check. It's awesome. This is where my form is, so you can see the form, right? So all I need to do now is to copy this form into my folder in ODK. All right, into my folder in ODK. So I'm just going to connect my mobile phone using the cord, and I'm going to go to my mobile phone. Yeah, then I'm going to open the mobile phone, and just like before, you're going to go to Android. Inside Android, you go to data. Under data, you'll be looking for something that starts with org. So so just type O, so you can see org. This is Coursera. This is Kobo Collect. This is, so I have two Collect software on my Android phone. So I think I'll use Kobo Collect this time. All right. So you click on it. You go into Files. Go into Projects. Go into Demo. And inside Forms, and paste it here. So I'm going to paste it here. Awesome. So you can see the household health questionnaire, right? Pasted here. Okay. The next thing I'll need to do is to check my Android phone and see how this form has turned out. Okay. So let's head over to the Android. See you on the Android side. Bye.
All right, awesome. Here we are on the Android phone. We're going to quickly move to the software. This time we're going to use Kobo Collect. You can use any collect. You can use Owner Collect. You can use Survey CTO Collect. You can use Kobo Collect. You can use ODK Collect. This time we're going to use ODK Collect, or Kobo Collect, right? So we're just going to go to fill blank form, and we should see the form that I just pasted. Okay. So I'm going to click on that form, and then here we go. So the title that we put first, you can see the title, household head. I just need to swipe, and then I can see my introduction. Hello, I'm a postgraduate researcher at Ahmadu Bello University College of Medicine. I am conducting that, right? Then I swipe to the next, and then you can see our group, right? See, the group title is identification, name of word, maybe I say Zango word. Okay. Household number, I put the particular number is A015. Unique ID is ROT, I don't know. Let's just say A15C, something like that, just to give a number. I'm just trying to see how I can fill this up. Then I'm going to say this guy is Malam Gambo. Okay, you can notice that we have all the questions on one page. Okay, and this is the advantage of the grouping. Okay, and then I'm going to do the GPS. See, before I do the GPS, I can see the hint that says this should be taken outside, just exactly as we put it, right? And then I'm going to start the geo point. Give it some time. It has an accuracy, satellites available, it's scanning for satellites, and doing all this stuff. I'm actually supposed to be outside, but unfortunately I'm inside. It's super cold outside, so sorry, I'm not going outside. Okay, and then it hasn't seen any of the low Earth orbiting satellites, but it can give me an average stuff. So I'm going to click on save geopoint. Awesome. So it has given me latitude, longitude, altitude, accuracy. This is awesome. And then I go to the next. Then this is where the magic happens. Remember that we put all our basic social demographic information in one group, and then we put it to be able to repeat. So this is like we collecting data from one line, from the first line. So I'm just going to say add. This is for the first person. So I'll put his serial number, his serial number 1, put his name, is the head of the household, is Malam Gambo. This is awesome. He's the head of the household. Remember all these questions. What's his date of birth? We fixed the date. I'm just going to click on any date. In the interest of time, he's male. He has just Quranic education. He's a farmer. Oh, I love farmers, man. And then he is married. He's Hausa. And that's that. Then we say next. So if we had another information for maybe his wife, we're going to click on add, and it's going to give us those same questions again. And we can continue clicking on this till we take all the information from his family members, no matter how many they are. Okay, then we say, I'm just not going to add. Then, was any member of your household ill in the last 3 months? If you click on it, you go next. I think there's probably an error here. We didn't put the yes or no. Okay, so this is for the member that was sick. His serial number maybe 3. We'll go next. What's his sex? His male. We'll go next. Cause of illness. Maybe he had malaria. Okay, we go next. Was he treated? Yeah, he had home treatment and he had treatment in a private hospital. Next. What was the outcome? It was resolved. Next. Any complications? No complications. Next. Is there a PHC in this village? Let's just give, say for example, we say no. Then we go next. Do you notice what happened? It skipped all the other questions about the PHC. So let's go back. Let's say we say yes, there's a PHC. And guess what? Voila. So you can see. So it's not going to allow you to make any mistakes. If you say there's no PHC, then there's no need for you to answer this question. So they don't have enough trained workers, cannot manage complications. All right, and then we go next. So systolic blood pressure is 120 millimeters of mercury. Diastolic is 80. Take a picture of the well. So we can choose an image. Just look for any image. Select an image. Okay. And then sign. I can just bring it and do any kind of signature. Please don't copy my signature, although I don't have very much in the bank. If you like, copy it on your own, man. And then you click on this and say save. So we've got the signature saved. If you have a barcode, you click on barcode and put the barcode and then say next. Wow. So then we come to glycated hemoglobin. So let's just say this guy had, just give you an example, 23.5. Remember we made it decimal, right? So we say next and see, voila, automatically it has calculated for us our EAG. This is awesome, super awesome. Congratulations, guys. Then we go next. So this guy is heavy, he's 100 kg. We go next and he is 1.83 meters in height. And awesome, we have our body mass index calculated for us automatically. Congratulations, guys. And we get to the end. Thank you for your time. Bear in mind that our metadata has been recorded in the background and this data collector doesn't know. All right. Thank you for your time. Save, form, and exit. All right. Thank you so much. Let's go back to the computer. See you on the computer side. Bye.
Awesome. Now, so since we have been able to test, we've been able to get this form in XML format, and we all know how to put this XML file into ODK for manual data collection. How about I quickly show you a way in which you can send this form to a server and also use this to collect data. One advantage of also sending this form to a server is the fact that you can also test the form on the server by looking at or by linking it up to what we call Enquito Smart Paper. Okay, so in the next few minutes I'm going to show you how you can link this form up to an Enquito service, and there are so many Enquito services that we have online. One of the easiest ones to get across to is the one that is on the owner server. Okay, so what we'll do is, in order for you to do this, the servers don't accept XML formats. Okay, the servers don't accept XML format. So what the format that they accept is the XLS format. This is a format that comes in Excel supported language or Excel supported file. So we're going to save file. Make sure you have saved. Please don't forget to save. Then you're going to save file, and then you're going to come and say export. Instead of export to XML that allows you to go and use it on ODK Collect on your mobile phone, you're going to say export to XLS-FORM. So when you click export to XLS-FORM, you have the Excel file that has been exported here. Okay. The next thing you want to do is to go to the internet and open, just browse owner. All right, owner.io. All right, I'm going to be releasing another video about how to use owner, but now it's just for us to complete this our video so that we have a complete package for ODK build. Okay, so you are going to click on owner.io login. You should have already had an account. I'm going to go to that particular account. All right, so this is how the owner server looks like. So I'm going to say new project, and I can select what. So I think I should just show you how to even open up a new project. So you're going to click on new project. You can see my name there. We'll just call this project, say health survey. Yeah, and then this is in health. Awesome. And then create a new project. So we've got our health survey. We're going to click on it to open it up. And then it shows us all the different parts of our health survey. So what we want to do here now is to just click on add a form, and you should have downloaded the XLS form. So we're going to click on file. Okay, so let's go back to, all right, so I'm going to choose a file to upload. Yeah, and then this is my questionnaire that I just downloaded the XLS format, and then I'm going to upload. So just give it some time to upload, and then if it has done correctly, you should see form verified. So this is another type of test. If you have an error, then you have to check what you built. Maybe there's some issues, right? So, and then you can leave it on active so that you can start accepting form submissions from people that are entering the data from ODK and sending it to the server. Okay, and then you save the form. Awesome. So we have the form already here in our server, in the owner server. So when you click on this form, you see a dashboard. Very good. So this is the entire dashboard. As data starts to enter your form, once you start to send data from your ODK collect or Kobo collect or any of the collect devices, you start to see your records here, right? And then the data starts to analyze automatically. Okay, so if you want to link ODK up to this server, all you do is click on here, and then you see very simple instructions here. Okay, so you can see the instructions here. What you just put is this is the server URL. Put the server URL in the settings for your ODK collect or Kobo collect, and then put up your ID and username, and then you are connected. Once you're connected, you can download the form onto your ODK automatically from the server, and then use it. Okay. Another thing I want to quickly show you now is how to connect this to the Enquito service. So the owner server has the Enquito service which you can use. So I'm just going to click on this web form and then just give it some time. It connects you up to Enquito Smart Paper. This is awesome. This is one of the best things that, and mind you, you can use this Enquito also on your mobile, and you can use it offline. Okay, you just need to save the form, bookmark the form on your web browser, and you can use it offline. When you get internet, you can sync it back. Okay, so you can see our household health questionnaire, you can see our introduction, very beautiful stuff. You can see the name of ward, you can see the household number, unique ID, GPS location, and it gives us a very beautiful map. If we click on it, it can show us exactly where we are. And then you can see that this is in a group, basic demographic information, serial number, name. You can click, date of birth. You can click, it gives you where you put age, sex, highest level of education, every single thing that we put up there. You can see, and then if you finish for one person, remember it has repeat, so we can click on this and it repeats. Okay, this one was a mistake we made because we can't see yes or no. I think we forgot to put the options, but you can see this other one, very good. Sex, causes of illness. You can see this is multiple response. You can click, click, click. All right. Outcome resolved, yes or no. Complication, yes or no. Is there a PHC in this village? Yes. Then show your stuff. Examination and lab results. So you can put the diastolic, put the systolic. You can do the picture. This is where we put the consent for barcode. Glycated hemoglobin 45. See what happens. It calculates it automatically. Somebody has a weight of 150 kg. That must be a heavy dude, man. And is 1.98 meters. And it gives us automatically the body mass index. This guy is morbidly obese, man. Oh my god. All right, and thank you for your time. So, and then you can submit. This is awesome, super awesome. So you have ODK on your ODK Collect. You have your form in ODK Collect. You have your stuff on the server. Nothing left than for you to just enjoy. So enjoy yourself. Thank you so much for being part of this journey, and we have been able to use ODK-BUILD to develop or design advanced forms, and I'm sure now you believe me that you can use ODK-BUILD to develop super advanced forms that you can use for data collection and get very good quality data. In summary, we are able to talk about logics, we talked about skipping, we talked about using the calculate function. I showed you how to do grouping, I showed you how to do repeats, as well as the amazing functionality of metadata. If you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give us a like, give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. All right, share this video to any researcher or teacher or friend, anybody that you like or you love. Share this video to that person because it can really help the person, as long as the person is a student or a researcher or a teacher or even a lecturer. And then give us a very good comment. Please don't just leave our comment area blank. Please give us a good comment. And as always, peace. See you in the next video.